Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Hey everybody, Michael LaFido. Welcome back to another episode. Really excited about today's guest. Don't forget, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, where we want to make sure we answer any questions you have about today's episode or previous episodes, or if you have any questions for me from today's episode or our guest. And again, check us out on the web, luxurylistingspecialist.com, if you're looking to increase your average sale price. Don't forget our book, it's on Amazon, as well as, of course, our podcast. I believe we're almost on podcast 125 or 130 at the time of this recording, and by the time it's released. So again, if you have any questions, you have any feedback, please leave it with us. All right, with that being said, really excited about today's guest, excited about today's topic. I'd like to give a little background. Today's guest is John Thorpe. John, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Great to be here, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Tell everybody a little bit about you and where you because you didn't start in real estate, and tell everybody where you are today. So give us a little background, and I'll share with everybody how I was introduced to you after that.
Yeah, okay. I could go long and long for this, but I music is my passion. I have two main passions: music and real estate. So I started at 5, went playing the piano, Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart, and did a lot of theater. I actually went to college, and I'm a classically trained opera singer. And
wow, I didn't know that.
And I'm in real estate, right? But here we are. I decided to travel the world after college, and grew up in a small town, so really wasn't exposed to a lot of things. And then I got into real estate right as I turned 30. And which was just yesterday. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
And so
2 years ago.
Yeah. No, I've been in the business since '99. I just really, it just spoke to me. My dad, bought a lot of investment properties and saw that aspect of it. But I really just took to it and worked like morning and night. I didn't have a life, but I loved it. It wasn't like work. And then, I met my now husband, and in 2003, we just celebrated our 17th anniversary.
17 years.
I moved to DC, and real estate's not really a portable thing to do when you're selling. So I went into management with NRT. I managed a high-end office, and I went from a military town to, lowest average sales price to the highest. And it was quite fascinating, and I loved it. And then we decided to move to Florida. I do not like cold weather. So I live in Fort Lauderdale, where I've been since actually 14 years ago next week, and had various roles in consulting with brokers in the Realogy Network and franchise sales to where I'm currently now. And then lo and behold, some things happened last May where we were in our involvements with the LGBT community in real estate. And so the Phoenix rose, and about 50 of us got together and said, let's design something from ground up that needs to be out there. And so we did, and we launched officially October 1st. We are a 501c6. I want to make sure I get that correct.
Yeah, say that.
Sanctioned by the government. So we do have an advocacy part that we can, legally do, but we wanted to be transparent. And so we have an elected board of directors, and I was elected the first inaugural president. I don't know why. No, I have most recently was the chair and co-chair of the Realogy LGBT Employee Resource Group. And we were able to extend our transgender employees' health benefits, as well as sign the Equality Act twice. And we sponsored World Pride in New York City in 2019, and lots of other things, and changed our logo to be more inclusive with the colors of black and brown and pink and light blue, which you will see in the Alliance, which is very important. And so we want to be a resource for everybody. So from 3 months, we have just over 500 members. And we have about 55 committed chapters around the country, including Puerto Rico. And we already have 4 countries outside the US that want to have chapters. So
man,
not too shabby.
Yeah, and you didn't say 3 years. You said just over 3 months. That
3
is,
months.
yeah, that's astounding.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and the website that someone could find out more information, and I'll ask you again later, but throw that out there, please.
Yeah, so it's realestatealliance.org is the website. I'm probably going to reference the alliance because you see LGBTQ plus real estate is just
Sure.
a lot
Yeah,
in my whole
yeah.
alphabet. But we just say the alliance a lot of times, and that's just where it's at. But yeah, realestatealliance.org. It is a consumer-facing website, and consumers can join for free.
That's great.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And you and I were talking a little bit beforehand, and the taglines, I guess not even a tagline, but the bullet points below the logo behind you talk about advocacy, education, and networking. As far as the advocacy is concerned, you offline shared with me some statistics as far as percent of home ownership versus national averages. Why don't you talk a little bit about this and talk about the advocacy portion of it, if you would?
Sure, absolutely. So, just get to the meat and bones of it. We don't really have clear data, including the 2020 census. We are still not counted as far as our sexual orientation. What did change last year is that if you were married, your spouse is included in that. So I want to preface that because it's important when you look at data. And that's one of the things that we're hoping to tackle this year with an entity that we've been talking to for a few months, but it's the data. But basically what we do know is that from this data is the average American consumer of about 61% home ownership. That's the national average. From what data we can decipher, the average for the LGBTQ American is about 48%.
Okay.
There's an anomaly there because, based on figures I get from my friends at NGLCC, which is the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, the American LGBT economy is around number 8 or number 9 in the world. And to put it in reference, the countries of Australia, South Korea, and Canada together do not equal what the American LGBT consumer has. So there's something wrong there, right? And so we're trying to really get into that aspect. And so, we know things we want to advocate for. And two of the biggest challenges we see outside of the homeownership rate is elderly LGBT, some having to go back into the closet, and there have been several lawsuits with HUD regarding that. And the other is youth homelessness. We saw an uptick in that around major cities around the country, especially during COVID. People came out and their families, basically disowned them. And so it's a real problem. I've identified with several entities around the country, including one in Houston that I'm very, very excited to work with called the Montrose Center. Been around since the late 70s, and they tackle both of those in addition to other stuff. So, buying and selling referrals is great, and as agents, that's your income. And I was there before, I get that, but we're looking at doing something much more, and that's really being a resource for our communities. And our mission is housing and shelter for all, not just LGBTQ, but all. And so that is a big statement, but you have to have that big statement to achieve that. I call it our Nike statement, right? I guess I just give a plug for Nike, right? But that you have to have that vision, and why not aim high, and so you can reach that. So I have just been amazed at the allied support. We already have several state associations that have signed agreements with us, including Missouri was the first. I mean, go figure, Missouri, and then Ohio, and we're working on quite a few others. I'm working on Florida because that's my home state, but they've all been wonderful. And so, that is something that wasn't done before. And so it never has been done. And so we realized that in order to make a big difference in our communities, that we have to have a certain structure. So we have decided at the beginning of this organization that part of the national fees are going to go to the local. So that really isn't done in a lot of organizations. So like this, so that is our focus because we know we're going to need that strength there as well too. And so that's kind of like a big overview. But what I'll add to that,
that's very helpful.
That's it, Yeah.
I have a couple questions for you. So number one, you talked about Missouri being first association to. What's the goal for, I guess, the alliance with partnering up with a state association? Is it education? Is it talk to me about that? I guess if I'm somebody from Missouri, as an agent, is it more of just getting knowledge out there about, hey, this group this group not belongs. This group is out there, and if you want to learn more about servicing the LGBT community, talk to me a little bit about that, I guess.
Absolutely. So a big part of education is, first of all, educating our own community. and one of that I say that is that I hosted a session this summer about racism in the gay community, and there is a problem with that. The thought was, well, you used to be discriminated against, you would think you'd have a little bit more empathy towards that, and that's not necessarily the case. So we got to educate our own community and then go outside of there. But one of the things that I'm very, very excited about, I'm not sure we're going to be able to launch it, but it has been written, and it's a 3-hour course, and it's really about working with the LGBT consumer. So that's really kind of focused more for our allies. But if you're a realtor, the code of ethics states you can't discriminate on sexual orientation or gender identity. What most people don't know is there's no federal law. We are not protected federally from discrimination, and also as far as housing, and also too, in 27 states, it is legal. Like if my husband and I wanted to rent a place and the investor or the owner of the property wanted to kick us out because he found out we were gay, he could legally do that in 27 states in the United States in the year 2021. Shocking, right? It's true. And so that is our advocacy, education, and networking. It takes all three, right? And so that is why we are appearing up with the state associations. And we've also had some city associations. Miami, I was very thrilled. They were at the table very early on. So that's a very large MLS in Board of Realtors. And so they have joined forces with us, including Washington, D.C. It's most people don't realize that. I've talked to several CEOs of real estate corporations, and they had no idea. But it's true. They know the ethics, NAR code of ethics, but they didn't realize that as an individual homeowner or whatever, they can legally discriminate. So those are real things in today's
that's
world.
In 2021. That's sad.
Hi, it's Michael LaFido here with a quick break from the podcast. If you are committed to increasing your average sale price and you want to work smarter, not harder, then you want to check out luxurylistingspecials.com, where you'll find out more information about the Lux designation along with some additional resources. Again, I'll repeat, check out luxurylistingspecials.com. And now let's get back to the show.
So you were talking about data earlier, and it's tough to necessarily get real data. I know you brought up the census, and I think you said they ask male, female. They don't ask, sexual orientation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So knowing that in many states, in many 27 states, I think a homeowner could still discriminate. Out of curiosity, like, part of me thinks you wouldn't want that question asked because if they found the answer, if somebody knew, or there would be discrimination. No, I mean, I guess help me. What's your thoughts on the transparency? And not from a transparency, I'm afraid to speak up or I'm afraid to say who I am, but knowing that there's discrimination out there, and it'd be identified easier. No, or am I missing?
No, I get your point, but I think this is where the Equality Act comes into place, right? And it'd be something with HUD, because obviously, really a shock, which I'm glad it's there. What happened in June was, the Supreme Court, voted that you can't discriminate on employment. That was a major step. I'm still surprised at it, but that is there. And I can tell you personally, my cousin in the Midwest was fired from his job 2 years ago because they found out he was gay. And when
you broke up because he was gay?
Oh yeah, just because he's gay. Very smart guy. He got hired a few months later from a company. But having to go to work, we all have work to do, and some can be very tedious. You shouldn't have that added component. Right. It's senseless. And I've experienced that in my work life. I have not been shy about that, even in my own company. And you have to call it out. And that's where and finally, when I did, it was very empowering, because it's just, I'm John Thorpe. Oh, by the way, I happen to be gay, but it just judge me for who I am as a person and what I do, and all of that. And so that, I think that's where the premise. So I think that's why the Equality Act is very important. So we can all move on as a society and do that. Well, there'll still be discrimination, yes, but there'll be legal recourse.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Including my state of Florida. me and my partner we can be kicked out if we were to rent a place or something like that. Florida. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yep. Truth.
Well, thanks for clarifying. So, the
no
Equality
problem.
Act, that totally, again, when I ask questions, even what we're doing with some of the stuff with diversity that I shared with you, I'm asking questions of my business partners because, I want to ask questions that maybe others are thinking that maybe I naturally am thinking, or maybe others are. So that's great. So, so there's 55 chapters. Talk to me about, I'm based in the Chicagoland market. You guys got a chapter here?
We do.
Yeah. So talk to me about what a member of a chapter could expect. Obviously, during COVID and face-to-face networking, but is probably frowned upon. But post the pandemic, what are your goals? What will that look like?
So we have a chapter playbook, which was very essential. Our VP, Alex Cruz, wrote that, which is truly amazing. And so we're also happy to have that. But actually, we had our 2021 kickoff meeting last night with our chapter leadership around the country. It was a great thing to have because we really went into that purpose. And we were fortunate to have a veteran in the industry that used to be part of, I'll say it, NAREP, that really kind of helped us out as far as how to lay out the chapters and how to structure yourself. And obviously, we have requested at least 4 meetings a year from all of our chapters and variances of what they do, but to plan them out for the whole year, just so that you just don't throw a meeting together. Obviously, first quarter, possibly second quarter, will be virtual. It just depends. My research from Dr. Fauci is by third quarter, if 75% of the country has vaccines, we should be able to go back to that. We just don't know, right?
Right.
But just all assumptions. But we're all dying to get back into person. I know I am, and it would just be great to have that. So, but that's kind of the focus. But what we're doing is we actually have a board in each chapter, and then we have several committees from there. So there is a very strong structure there that to really put that together. So we are what we want to do with the Alliance on a national level is have guidelines, but we don't want to tell them everything to do because each community has their own culture, right? And what they want to do and what they want to accomplish. And even the charity things they want to do. I heard some ideas last night, and from Miami to Chicago to Seattle to wherever it may be, they're different, and so that's really the key. And then we also have a D&I council nationally that is going to work with our different chapters as well too. So part of that is PRISM, the African American. We have a military, we have women, we have transgendered. So we have those different groups there that can really support nationally and also the chapters as well too.
So you bring up a good point that we haven't talked about offline, but within the Alliance or within the LGBTQ community, there's subgroups and support and resources as well.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. And I'm actually, from when we were writing on the wording and our mission and all that this summer, I've actually kind of taken it further because we need to, and that's what it is. You evolve. And one of the things, and the reason why I said early on about education within our own community, our LGBTQ sisters and brothers of color have much more challenges in general, and I'm generalizing here. And so I want to address that. And I think as we get into data, and that's why I want to see data, even though I can peripherally pick up some things, I want to see what those homeownership rates are too. And so that's the opportunity. And also too, just for the good of all in our communities, but also from a business sense, it just, it makes sense. As agents, we've all been agents, and you look to see, new lines of business. And so I think that's where we want to come across, being the trusted advisors for our communities around the country that can really, go from there. And then hopefully as we develop even more, we'll have more sub chapters and things like that around the country. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So, for those of you that are listening and you're not a member personally of the LGBT community, it's so good to educate yourself and understand and be empathetic and understand that somebody, the struggle and the statistics you're sharing, 48% versus 61%. And you'll be more empathetic. You'll be You'll work well with people from different cultures, different backgrounds. You'll be more diverse. Diversity, we're talking about that with our course that we just created. I mean, that's just, that's just huge. So that's what I'm trying to do as well, John, by having you on and having folks from NAREP and NAREB and, NAREB, and just getting different perspectives. In the end, we're all human beings and we shouldn't see color. We shouldn't see sexual orientation. And I'll never forget when my oldest, he's 11 now, but when he was in first grade, his teacher was a female African American, and my son didn't even know how to describe color. He just saw a person. It was so. Yeah, my wife was trying to determine which teacher he had, as far as he was describing a teacher in lunch or something. And well, what did he? Was it a female? Was it a male? And lighter skin, dark, and he didn't even know. And it was just so authentic and innocent. And that's really it's what we should be doing as adults.
Isn't it a testament that, hatred and biases are learned behaviors, right? And so it's so true. And you said something that I want to go back to a little bit because I think it's very important. I had the privilege a few years ago. I live in Fort Lauderdale, so I'm not far from Miami. And I started going to the NAREP, the Hispanic Association of Real Estate Professionals meetings. The president at the time invited me to be on the advisory board for the organization, and I was very honored. And as the first thing, don't call me gringo, but you know what? I'm not Hispanic. I'm English, Greek. That's my heritage, is what I know. But it's not about being something. It's about being in culture, right? And so, from the get-go, when I started going to meetings, they call me familia, and I thought that was very important. So, you learn about. The more you're around people that are not so like you, although I think we have a lot of similarities and we have differences, you learn more about yourself. So I think it's educating yourself and bettering yourself when you're around people. And I think it helps you identify who you are more when you're around people that maybe not so much on the outside, that are different from you. And so and going back to the ally thing, I'm just amazed the ally support we have. And I've actually had people to say, can I be a member if I'm an ally? I'm like, yeah, so it's not, this is a community effort. And so that's just, we happen to be the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance, but we how dare us not to be inclusive, right? Sure. I mean, that kind of goes against who we are. And we want to stress that even with our own community, the minority representation needs to be there. And so anyone out there in the communities it should be listed on our website, the chapters we have. We want you to be part of our leadership teams around the country, and especially if you're a minority, we want that. And so we want your voice, and we want to hear everyone's voice, whether you're an ally or LGBTQ, we want your voice.
Well, thank you, John. That's a great way to end. So again, one more time, the website.
realestatealliance.org.
realestatealliance.org. And if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way, John?
They can reach out to me via the website, which you can join for free as well. But I'm president at realestatealliance.org. I believe that's it. I should know.
That's a vanity email if I've ever heard one. President,
But it's there. But that's what's there. But
that's great.
Yeah. So no, I appreciate it. Obviously we have a portal there for people to connect with on the Alliance site as well too. All of our senior leadership is on there, and our board members and hopefully chapter presidents as we develop that. We just started launching them recently, and we started in October, and we just started doing a few each week so we could process all of that. We still have a few more to go.
Yeah.
But it's development. But I think we already have over 40 some launched right now. So
that's great. Well, LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance, about advocacy, education, and networking. Thank you so much, John. Again, Michael LaFido, if you guys have any questions about this episode, shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. And if you're getting something from these episodes, please leave us a review. We can't have enough of those. Again, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. We got a Facebook group, Michael LaFido. Make it a great day and go raise the bar for anybody. You never know what they're going through, and prove others wrong. Take care, guys.